I'm in the Health Information Technology Professional Program area, and I've taught all of the courses in the program area at one time or another. There are 14, and that ranges from everything from navigational courses with electronic health records to usability and health information technology and project management in the healthcare field. I've been here about 10 years overall. I started as an adjunct, and I've been a full-time faculty member here for the last 7 or so years. Before I came here, I was working as a healthcare documentation specialist. I did that for several years. And what that involves is being part of creating the legal record that occurs after patient care happens in a hospital environment or in a clinic. And so that part of that is creating discharge summaries, creating patient histories, op reports, and pathology reports and things like that. That job was so fascinating to me because I really got to observe the way that doctors make their decisions and the way that they arrive at diagnoses for the patients. And after doing it for several years, I kind of got to a point where I could play a little game with myself and sort of guess what the diagnosis might be after hearing a set of complaints or looking at the beginning of the record where the patient was presenting with his or her problem. Well, I'm originally from a small town in northeast Nebraska of about 1,000 people, and I grew up in the country. I went to Wayne State College and earned my bachelor's degree in business administration there. And the graduate work that I've done is in the area of instructional design and development for online learning, as well as some work at UNL in the educational administration program, specifically community college leadership. One of the teachers that I had, who I'll never forget, is Dr. Ken Hallgren from Wayne State College. He is one of those instructors that just sticks with you. He was such an engaging teacher, and he really brought the class into discussions and really forced us to think critically about whatever the topic was at hand. And I'll never forget the way that he did that, and it actually probably had some impact on the way that I teach today. I worked for ConAgra for several years, and so I was in the business world, the corporate world, and part of my position there eventually involved doing a little bit of training and creating training materials for my colleagues. And so that was my first taste of teaching, and I really, really enjoyed it. And if you would have asked me 20 years ago if I would have been interested in becoming a teacher, I would have probably said, oh, I don't think so. That's not something I've ever thought about. But that bit of training that I experienced in the business world sort of stuck with me, and I enjoyed it so much. And eventually I ended up coming to MCC. I started as an adjunct here, and the rest is history. Someone I really consider to be a mentor for me here at MCC is Kathy Brigatuso. She was in the same office space as me when I started at MCC as a full-time faculty member. And she might not even know that I consider her a mentor in the way that I do, but she was there for me, provided me guidance on so many things. She's been teaching for so many years. She's been at the college for a long time. And she helped me figure out how to navigate the different areas within the college, but also she gave me some really valuable advice about students and classroom management and effective teaching strategies, and I really value the advice and information she gave me that first year that I was here at MCC. I'm proud to say that I have been a student at MCC as well as an instructor, and after I worked in the business world for several years, I stayed home for a couple of years with my kids when they were little. And when it was time to go back to work, I decided that I wanted to make a shift. I wanted to make a bit of a change out of the business world. And healthcare is an area that always appealed to me. Although I knew I didn't want to work in the clinic the clinical area. I knew I wasn't quite cut out to be a nurse or something like that, but I wanted to be involved with the world of healthcare. And so I did some research. I knew it would require some re-education on my part, and found that MCC had a program that would give me the skills I needed to work as a documentation specialist. And so I came back to MCC, took some courses, and was hired as a documentation specialist before I was even finished with my last course, and continued doing that for several years. What I would love for students to take away from my classes, besides the knowledge and the skills that they need to perform in the workplace, is a sense of self-assurance and a confidence that the effort they put into their education here is really worth it, and it's going to pay off for them in the long run. Using technology in the classroom has been a wonderful help for me to be able to deliver the health information technology curriculum. We offer a lot of online courses and hybrid courses, so that's one part of that. But another part is we're able to provide students with hands-on experience using electronic health record systems software that they can access through an online course or even in the classroom by just clicking on a link, getting to that software, and getting into a real-time environment where they can do the work that they'll actually be doing someday in the workplace. So one of the biggest challenges I have in working with a technology-based curriculum such as we have in the Health Information Technology program is keeping up with all of the changes that are occurring out there in the field, and making sure that everything is current for our students as well, so that they're learning exactly what they need to know in order to do a good job in the workplace. Another challenge with healthcare is the way that government regulations are constantly evolving and changing and being added, and that actually has a pretty big impact in how HIT specialists do their job. They need to know those government regulations. And another piece of that as well is making sure that I am connected to the folks in the local industry who are right there working in the trenches, and they're very aware of the changes that are happening. I try to keep connected to those folks so that I can make sure that we're giving people the skills they need in our classroom. Nationwide, there's a big initiative for all hospitals and clinics to be using electronic health record systems, documentation systems, and to go away from the paper. And there are lots of reasons for that. Many of them, of course, are probably obvious, but patient safety is one of them. If we're doing a better job keeping records for our patients, then the care ultimately will be better for them, and it's efficiency as well. I love it when I'm in the classroom and I can see that something clicked with the students, and usually that's after we've done some sort of hands-on activity, something that the students can really see how it connects with what they will need to do someday in their job. That is what gets me really, really excited. That, and when former students email me or call and they say, you know, I got a job in the area that I trained for, and I love my job, and this is exactly what I wanted to do. And they really convey to me how their education here was a huge part of that. Something my dad always used to say to my brother and me when we were growing up is, anything worth doing is worth doing right. And that has stuck with me my entire life, and I try to keep that in the back of my mind as I come into the classroom, and try to share that with my students too, that the amount of effort that you're putting into what you're doing makes all the difference, and you get out of it whatever you put into it, and if it's worth doing, it's worth doing it right. I'm Michelle Rule, Health Information Technology Instructor at the Fort Omaha campus.